Hi, everybody. Welcome back to First Chapter Friday. This month, we're going to read a chapter in the first book of the Theodosia Throckmorton series called Theodosia and the Serpents of Chaos. First of all, Theodosia rocks. She's awesome. She is this super smart, super talented detective who has this uncanny way of being able to detect black magic on artifacts, which is kind of helpful because she lives in a museum. So I highly recommend these books. There are 4 of them. I know that Lefebvre's was going to write a 5th one, but I think it might have gotten left by the wayside. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. But let's get started with Theodosia and the Serpents of Chaos with Chapter 1. All right, Mother Sends a Surprise. December 17th, 1906. I don't trust Clive Fagenbush. How can you trust a person who has eyebrows as thick and black as hairbrushes and smells of boiled cabbage and pickled onions? Besides, I'm beginning to suspect he's up to something. What's worse, I think he suspects I'm up to something, which I usually am. Not that anyone would take the word of an 11-year-old girl against that of the second assistant curator, even if that girl just happens to be the daughter of that head curator of the museum and is rather cleverer than most, or so I've been told. Oddly, I don't think they meant it as a compliment. As far as I can tell, it doesn't make a difference to adults how clever children are. They always stick together. Unless you are sick or dying or mortally wounded, they will always side with the other adult. That's certainly the case here, anyway. My father oversees the Museum of Legends and Antiquities, the second largest museum in London. As a result, I spend most of my time clattering around this old place. I don't mind. Really? Well, not much anyway. Though it would be nice if Father remembered I was here once in a while. However, I've got plenty to do. The museum's got loads of secrets, and I've discovered I'm very good at ferreting out secrets. And curses. You'd be surprised how many things come into this museum loaded with curses. Bad ones. Ancient, dark Egyptian magic ones. Take this morning, for example, when a crate arrived from Mum. At the sound of the buzzer, I hurried down to receiving. Dolge and Sweeney, the museum's 2 hired hands, were just opening the doors to the loading area. Yellow fog began oozing into the room like a rainy pudding. Outside, I could make out a drayman blowing on his fingers and stamping his feet, trying to stay warm as he waited next to his cart. His carriage lanterns were lit and looked like 2 fuzzy halos in a thick, thick fog. Sweeney hopped off the dock, and together they lifted the crate from the back of the cart and carried it inside. As they made their way past me, I craned forward to read the label. It was from Thebes, which meant it had to be from Mom. Her first shipment from the Valley of Kings. The first of many, most likely. Once they placed the crate on the empty work table, the drayman tipped his cap and hurried back to his cart, anxious to be on his way. Dolge closed the door behind him with a resounding clang. By the time the curators arrived and we all gathered around to watch, Father opened the crate. As I inched closer, I saw that once again, he wasn't wearing gloves. My own glove fingers twitched in dismay. Father. He paused, his hands just hovering over the crate. Yes, Theodosia? Aren't you afraid you're going to get splinters? Everyone turned to stare at me oddly. Nonsense, he said. Of course, I didn't give a fig about splinters. They were the least of my worries. But I didn't dare tell him that. With everyone's attention once again being focused on the crate, I shuffled closer to Father's side, trying to reach him before he actually touched whatever it was that Mom had sent. I made it past Dolge and Sweeney with no problem, but I had to hold my breath as I sidled past Fagenbush. He glared at me. I glared back. When I reached Father's side, I dipped my hands into the pocket of my pinafore just as he plunged his hands into the crate, and unobtrusively as possible, I slipped a small amulet of protection out of my pocket and into his. Unfortunately, my action did not go unnoticed. He paused and then he scowled at me. "What on earth are you doing?" "I just wanted to get a good look, Father. I'm the shortest one in the room, you know." To turn his attention from me back to the crate, I leaned forward and peered in. "What do you think she sent us this time?" "Well, that's what we're going to find out." His voice was tinged with exasperation. Luckily, he forgot all about me. With great ceremony, he reached into the crate and lifted out an absolutely fetching black statue of a cat. Bastet, the Egyptian fertility goddess. The moment I laid eyes on it, I felt as if a parade of icy-footed beetles were marching down my spine. My cat, Isis, who'd been skulking under the workbench, took one look at the statue, meowed loudly, then streaked off for parts unknown. Ooh, I shuddered. Once again, Mother had sent us an artifact possibly dripping with ancient evil curses. "Are you all right, Theo?" Nigel Bollingsworth, the first assistant curator, asked. "You're not taking a chill, are you?" He studied me in concern. Next to him, Fagenbush stared at me as if I were something nasty that Isis had dragged in. "No, Mr. Bollingworth, I'm fine. Except for the black magic rolling off this new cursed object." Of course, Mother never realized it was cursed, nor did Father. None of them ever seemed to be able to tell. None of the assistant curators seemed to notice anything either, except for that rat, Fagenbush. He eyed the statue with his face aglow and his long, bony fingers twitching. The problem was, he looked like that half of the time, so it was kind of hard to know if this was his reaction to the artifact or if he was just being his own horrid self. As far as I knew, I was the only one able to detect the black magic still clinging to these ancient artifacts. Therefore, it was up to me to discover the nature of the statue's curse and how to remove it quickly. When Mother arrived tomorrow, she was sure to have loads of new artifacts with her. Even more crates would trickle in over the next few weeks. Who knew how many of those items would be cursed? I could be busy for months. The only good thing was that it would keep me out of Mother and Father's way. They tend to get annoyed when I'm underfoot and they begin talking of sending me off to some school. This way, at least I'd be able to spend some time with Mom. Still, while hunches and gut instinct are all well and good for a first-level test, I had to be logical and scientific. I needed to conduct a level 2 test as soon as possible. My chance came when everyone cleared out of the receiving bay and returned to their duties. Since I didn't have any duties to return to, I was able to hang back unnoticed. I went over to one of the shelves that lined the receiving area and took down a small, battered canopic jar. It had come in badly damaged, and since it wasn't particularly valuable, no one had taken the time to restore it. I had begun using it for collecting wax, old candle stubs, sealing wax, that kind of thing, which I used extensively in my second level test. Wax is very good at absorbing Heka, or evil magic. I removed some of the wax bits from the jar and carefully set them in a circle around the base of the statue. By dinner time, the entire circle of wax bits was a foul, greeny black color. Drat! I don't think that the wax has ever turned dark that quickly before. Now I had to come back and conduct a third level test. Unfortunately, in order to do that, I needed moonlight. Moonlight is the only way to make the inscribed curses visible to the human eye. Of course, the only way to view something in moonlight is at night. Ugh, I loathe the museum at night. And that is the end of chapter 1 of Theodosia and the Serpents of Chaos. Now, this book and series right now is available in the library in book form. It is also available electronically through Hoopla, so you can select it however you want from the catalog. All right, thanks for listening with me, guys, and I'll see you next month. Okay, bye.